Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. This is a story that simply puts a smile on my face, just perfect. It's so satisfying to see someone having to deal with the consequences of their own actions. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. We helped Bad Boss create his own downfall. Years ago, I worked in a small retail store in a large shopping center. The staff were me, a good colleague, and the store manager. Also frequently visiting was the store manager's boss, the district manager. When colleague and I started, store manager told us almost word for word I was the top salesman in the company. That's how I got promoted to management. I get to sit back and relax now because it's your turn to do all the work. And true to his word, store manager slacked off and let us do all the work. We served the customers, managed the inventory, and even did all the paperwork and banking for him. While he kept turning up, he would spend his day roaming the shopping center, sitting at the coffee shop, flirting with female employees in other stores, or playing games at the arcade game center. To make matters worse, store manager would borrow brand new mobile phones from the stock and borrow money from the till for his own personal use. Colleague and I were unimpressed, of course, and after deciding we'd had enough of this crap, we decided to help him with his own downfall. We stopped tidying up after him. As long as they weren't in our way, we didn't touch his leftover food and drinks. Every time he disappeared, we tidied and reorganized the store a little. We were brutally honest whenever the district manager visited. DM, where's store manager? Us, he's at the arcade game center, sir. He's chatting to the girls upstairs, sir. DM, why is this mobile phone box empty? Us, store manager said he was borrowing the phone, sir. Within a couple of months, the store had been completely reorganized. Store manager had no idea where anything was located anymore. He missed all the memos from head office and didn't know about new products and procedures. He also had to dispose of moldy plates and cups on quite a few occasions. Colleague and I were running the store more efficiently than ever, and store manager was completely redundant by that stage. District manager had figured out what was going on and had probably begun the process of having store manager terminated. There were procedures to follow, so this would take a while. Then one day, store manager turned up to work early, surprising, and told us that he had resigned. He probably figured that he was about to be fired and preferred to leave on his own terms. District manager arrived soon after to give store manager an exit interview at his favorite coffee shop. Colleague and I wasted no time to prepare the final insult. Before the exit interview was even finished, we'd already packed all of the store manager's personal belongings into a box, ready for him to pick up and leave. Bye, store manager. And our second story. New landlord tries to control our energy use. So this goes back to my university days. My friends and I got a townhouse together in a complex that was pretty much 100% students. The landlord also owned 3 to 4 other townhouses in the complex. He seemed like a great guy, especially compared to some of the sketchy people we met during our search. The first year went great, but landlord had a heart attack. Thankfully, he survived, but decides to sell his townhouses to lower stress and retire. New landlord comes over and says hi, and immediately is like, we need to change things around. So the rental lease we had meant the landlord was to pay all water and electricity. This was common for most student housing because it would be a pain for students every year to sign contracts with water and electrical providers. She tells us she's going to be a device, I think it's called a governor, on our water heater so that it will not fill up during peak hours, daytime, telling us we have to do laundry at night. She didn't mention we might not get hot showers during the day. She tells us it's not that big of a deal and all the other places have them, but she tries to trick/bully/coerce us into just letting her do it. One of my friends, Mark, tells her that there's nothing about that in the lease and she can't legally do that. She leaves but keeps pushing us to install the device. Later in the year, she comes over to berate us for our energy use. She presents us with the energy bills for a few townhouses she owns and points out how we're the highest. We point out that we're a 5-bedroom townhouse and the one she's comparing us to are 3 and 4 bedrooms. Meanwhile, she's ignoring any repairs to our unit and questioning when something went wrong, implying if predates her buying the unit from original landlord, she wasn't liable to fix it. Her calls to get the water heater device and get us to use less electricity finally push Mark to exact some revenge. Mark decides he wants to see how much electricity we can use. The meter outside our unit shows a dial going around clockwise that monitors our electricity usage. Normally, I might to one rotation in a minute. Mark wants to see how fast he can get it going. So he goes around to all the housemates and asks them to all turn on their computers, TVs, stereos, anything that has a plug. He hits the override on the water heater to get it to fill, turns on the laundry, dryer. He was actually doing laundry, so not being a total jerk. Then the coup de grace turns on the oven and all 4 burners. We go outside, and he had got it up to 1 revolution a second. This doesn't last long as he blows a fuse in the oven and Mark decides he's gotten his revenge, so we go back to normal usage. I guess the electricity bill for that month was much higher than normal, and so on the next call from landlord, she seemed resigned to us not giving in to her demands. I believe Mark told her that we can curtail our electricity usage if things get fixed around here. Addendum. So, the one most needed repair in our townhouse was on the 2nd floor of a 3-floor unit. There was a little hallway between the living room and the kitchen. Being a high traffic area, it took a lot of wear and tear. At some point, we noticed the floor underneath was falling apart, but landlord ignored it. The problem in the floor only grew until we had masking tape around a circle in the floor indicating the danger zone. I didn't stay in the place the next year because she was making people sign a new lease, but they did get landlord to fix the door. She sent her son over and he ended up falling through the hole in the floor to the ceiling below him. My friend was on the 1st floor and saw a leg appear above him. Says it was the funniest thing ever. And our next story. Women loses it over a tomato. I've worked in the restaurant service industry off and on for about 7 years. Had plenty of stupid people asking for money off or free drinks, etc. The one that sticks out in my mind is the woman who literally went crazy over a slice of tomato. Let me set the scene. It's the middle of summer. The place I worked at was packed all through the summer holidays. It's a lovely place right over on the riverfront. Usually ended up with long waits for food. CL is the crazy lady, me is me. She ordered a whole meal for her family, husband and 2 kids. Me, delivering the food to the table. I'm sorry about the wait. I hope you enjoy your food. Nice big fake smile. CL, what's missing off this plate? Me, confused for a moment, then realized her steak dinner was missing the tomato slice. I'm so sorry. Let me just check the kitchen. I'll be right back. Check the kitchen. We've run out of tomatoes. It's Sunday and we didn't have a delivery. Me, I'm so sorry. It seems we've run out of tomatoes. Can I offer you something else? Onion rings? Halloumi? CL, no, I want the tomato. It's supposed to come with one, and I want it. Me, I'm extremely sorry. We didn't have a delivery because it's Sunday and it's been really busy. Please feel free to have a side or starter or drink to make up for it. CL, no, I want the tomato. Get me one now. At this point, I'm out of options and the woman's steak is going cold. Her family are cringing at the scene she's making. CL, I want to see your manager. She was a typical can I see the manager type. At this point, I couldn't hear what was being said when she stormed into the pub to talk to the manager. She insisted I'd slammed the plates down, which I didn't, and that I was being rude, which I wasn't. I was told after she demanded money off her meal because it was ruined from the lack of tomato with her steak dinner. Manager asked if I could apologize. I refused and was laughing at the whole situation over a effing tomato. I think they gave her some money off just to get rid of her. She left her dinner to go cold and embarrassed her family. As for myself and the rest of the staff, we were all gobsmacked she made such a scene. I've dealt with a lot of crazy people before, but she won the craziest person I've ever dealt with award. And our last story. Fired my HOA approved gardener after he tried to steal my departed uncle's priceless heirloom. Some backstory. Ever since I was a young boy, I was raised by my uncle. He's been exceptionally good to me, and so he and I were very close until the time of his untimely departure several months ago. He left me everything, including the house he worked his whole life paying off to the bank, his extensive collection of books, and several pieces of jewelry he accumulated over the years. Yes, he was a man who liked to collect jewelry, and there's nothing wrong with that. One tiny complication of inheriting my uncle's house is that his house is in a fancy, pricey neighborhood and, of course, has an HOA. To be honest, they're not as bad as some horror stories I've heard, but they've insisted on multiple occasions that my uncle, and now I, employ the services of a gardener to keep the outside of my house tidy. Oh, but not just any gardener, a specific gardener who has an in with the HOA who offers a bulk discount if everyone uses his services. My uncle tried to make the best of the situation, debriefing the gardener, sometimes letting him shower in our place or grab a water or beer. Whatever, we should all look out for each other, right? But ever since I inherited the house, this guy's been pushing my limits, assuming I would be even more generous than my uncle. A few weeks ago, I ordered some special baked goods from one of those nationwide shipping services. These cookies are hard to get because they have to be refrigerated. I waited for these cookies for weeks. Well, I go to my kitchen to grab a bite, and I find my gardener inside the house covered in crumbs instead of outside the house tidying the yard. He'd gone into my fridge and ate several of the cookies. I scolded him about it, he apologized, and I thought we would move on. Well, Tuesday morning was the last straw. While I was in my own living room cleaning up some of the jewelry boxes left by my uncle, the gardener came inside to use the restroom, noticed one of the pieces, and asked if I would let him hold it. I lost it and maybe went a little bit too far here, but to be blunt, I told him to get the F out of my house, go back to his own home, and never come back. My phone's now blowing up from the president and co-treasurer of the HOA, livid that I've cost them their bulk deal with the gardener, and that they expect me to offset every other house's increased costs in my own HOA dues because of how rude I was to a loyal employee who had served the community for many years. I think it's ridiculous to ask me to pay for everyone else's garden, but I'm feeling a little guilty about how I exploded at the gardener. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.